Yes, people, how are we all doing? Welcome all back to the channel for the Liverpool 3, Sheffield United 1 match reaction. It's been a while since I've done a match reaction, people. It has been a long time since I've done a match reaction. I think the last one I've done was Fulham in the Cup. I might be wrong, but Fulham in the Cup seems to stick with me as the last match reaction we've done. But we're back. We're ready to do it all over again. But before we get into this, if you're new here and you're not ready, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You are turning on the notification bell so you don't. I do not know what I pressed then, but I pressed something on my keyboard and it went off. So the keyboard is going to go over there for now. But yeah, people, there's plenty to go through today. Sheffield United, on paper, are the worst team in the league. They're one of the worst Premier League teams of all time. And they gave us a damn good go. So I figured it was going to be like this. We're not a team who necessarily destroys these low-end opposition because we don't play that way, if you get me. A team that sets up in a low block against us will more often than not have a little bit of joy because we don't do it. We don't build up in that slow, methodical way that tires teams out. We try and dive in behind and stuff. By the way, just before we get started, people, it was my guy, Mike Das. Good to see you, pal. As it was before I decided to go on a hiatus, if you want to hop on with me and react with me, because I think the Tom Little Mike Das chemistry on my match reactions as boss, just let me know on Twitter and I'll send you the link. But yeah, we started the game off really well. Can you tell I'm still getting used to this again? I've got to be better at the bottom. But yeah, I looked at it and I was very sort of happy with the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. So I'm just sending Mike the link, people. I need to get my headphones plugged in and everything now. The first 15, 20 minutes, we played well. You were getting patterns going. You were seeing good play on the right-hand side. And then we capped it off with a fantastically well-worked, I'm going to go with it. Fantastically well-worked goal by Darwin Núñez. There's my headphones. Fantastically well-worked goal by Darwin Núñez. This is exactly what I want to see from him. We know he's not. We know Darwin Núñez is what he is. We know Núñez is what he is. He is a fantastic channel runner. He puts in a lot of work for the team. He just has a bit of rub the green. We know he's not the greatest of finishers, but that today was exactly what we want to see from him. One of the biggest criticisms levied at him last year was his pressing game, was the lack of intelligence, should we say, in that side of his game. He would just run at the man rather than try and cover the passing lanes or something. This year, you've seen a major improvement on that side of his game, and you saw it especially today in terms of the big... I don't even want to look back at that specific moment on its own. I want to go back to like 10 seconds beforehand when he nearly blocks the initial clearance and he keeps going. I love the fact he doesn't give up. That is so big for me. I know he's a polarizing figure in the fan base, but I'll never lose that in Núñez. I'll never lose that in Núñez. I will always back Núñez because I love what he is. But people, we're bringing it back. The match reaction duo. You get me, and then you get the man with the best facial hair on all of Liverpool YouTube. It is Mr. Mike Das. How are you, my friend?
That's quite an intro. I don't know if I'd go that far, but then again, I'm not sure how many people have mustaches in general. But it's good to see you back streaming, guy.
I know it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
All the Ruben Amorim stuff just brought me back. It reignited the love.
I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole other can of worms. And now that Shabby said no, I'm kind of just not even. I don't care. Like that whole conversation, it means nothing to me right now because we've got 9 games left or 8 games left, and we need to win this league. And it doesn't even matter because I have no control. Like I have, there's no. My opinion makes no difference on the manager situation. Like players are one thing, but it's like, I don't even know what to do with the players until we direct a manager. But I guess the only thing that I'm happy about is that Edwards is back. And so I trust in Edwards and his judgment. And I know that whoever we bring in, we're bringing in under, his hand. And, given his prior track record, I'm just gonna have to hold it. Like, if he signs Amarim, who honestly I'm not even against, like if he gets Amarim, I'm backing him all the way, right? If it's, Pep Linders for a year because they think that Choppy just wants to have a run in the Champions League with Leverkusen, whatever. You know what I mean? But in Michael Edwards, I trust, and that's kind of my stance on it right now. But if you're happy with Amarim and we get Amarim, then that's pretty much
I'm happy. I'm happy, and Sam has to hold it. It's the perfect double whammy for me in terms of it all. But we'll shelve the manager talk for now. We've got to focus on the remaining time we've got with Jurgen Klopp. And today, everyone was going into this game hoping that this was going to be your stat pad sesh where Liverpool score loads of goals and claw that goal difference up against Arsenal, because Sheffield United, they've had a lot of big losses. I think there was a period of time where they had 3 to 4 back-to-back 5-0 losses. And then today we went up against them and that just didn't happen. Why do you think that? Because I think this is a general issue we have against low-end opposition. Why do you think we never really stick 5 or 6 past these sort of teams?
I think a lot of it has to do with how lethargic we are on the ball sometimes. I mean, I don't know if you were like paying attention off the ball in the first half, but there were so many times where, either Gravenberch has the ball on the wing or Szoboszlai has the ball on the wing, and then you look around the field and we just got 5 guys in a straight line at the top of the box, and they're all just kind of standing there flat-footed. And then, it's really just down to the winger and whoever's overlapping the winger to create space, right? And then maybe, we kick it back to Mac Allister, and then we flip it to the other side, and then we do it on that side again all over. I just think that there's times where our off-ball movement is lethargic and complacent, and I think we slow down play a little bit too much. I know that there's some people who talk about patience and how sometimes we look impatient, and that's when we get quicker. But to be honest, we've never been the team that will score patient goals, if that makes sense. Like when's the last time you saw a goal by Liverpool that started from the back, was extended possession, was 7 or 8 different players on the ball, and it's a goal like that? It's never like that. It's always bang bang. You know what I mean? Just look at the goals today. Robbo, bang bang, cross into the box, boom. Look at the one before that. It was a cross into the box by Robbo. It was a deflection. Then it went off Diaz, and then it banged right to Mac Allister. You know what I mean? And then obviously Nunez was just hunting down the goalkeeper. So I think it's just, I think they're a little lethargic, and I'm not sure if the off-ball movement is as quick as I'd like.
Yeah, I agree. I also think today starting Joe Gomez at left back was the wrong call. You would always know that Sheffield United were going to set up deep. That they weren't going to come at us and try and play a free-flowing, expansive football. They don't do that when they're against low-end opposition. Never mind, a title challenging team away from home. So putting Gomez at left back to me just seemed a little bit counterintuitive in the sense that we had no width on that left-hand side. Unless you wanted to have it be Diaz, and then you had no threat on the left-hand side. Because ultimately you had Gravenberch there, who I don't think had his greatest game. We said that a lot about him this year.
He was better. I'll say he was better than he has been. I don't think he was particularly terrible, but at the same time, I don't think he was really I don't think he was put in a position to succeed today. He was either on the left wing or the right wing. He'd get the ball and he'd have nowhere to go with it. Like, how am I supposed to criticize him? He's obviously being told to do this, and there's just no options. So I'm also not going to look at him to be the guy that, 1-2s his way into the box and scores a worldie.
Yeah. I think with Gravenberch, we'll touch on it when we get onto the substitutions. When you see the impact that Curtis Jones especially had off the bench for his 20, 25-minute spell, that can swing a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas, because I thought he was exceptional when he came on. And I think people forgot how important he was to this team and the element of control he gave us. Look, we all know how good Mac Allister is. But Curtis Jones is probably the best. It is maybe not the best, but certainly the most important player for us in terms of maintaining control and maintaining pressure on the opposition, because he makes the correct decisions when recycling the ball. He knows when to go out wide. He knows when to go back in the middle. He knows when to drive forward. The biggest thing people threw at him was his poor decision making and his immaturity with his decision making. And this season, I think we've really turned the corner with that. But back on the low block thing, obviously Joe Gomez invert, and I think we had a big sort of congregation in the middle, which ultimately ended up with a lot of small passes which didn't really accomplish much. Then you get the goal through Nunes, and again, you just see the same problems of players trying to go on their own, run into walls of stubborn Sheffield United defenders. And when you've got Mo Salah, who normally is a bit of a difference maker in these sort of things with his range of passing and his vision, having an off day the way he was, you become a little bit blunt in what you were doing because the ball wasn't necessarily fine. And Diaz, although he was taking on his man, it was never getting in the box off him. He wasn't having the overlap support. I thought Conor Bradley was the only real outlet option for us in that first half because he was the only one who was getting a little bit of space. But you go in, half-time, 1-0. You should be expecting at that point for the game to finish, 2-0, 3-0. And then we get caught out on a counter-attack. How does that happen?
Well, I mean, a lot of it was just Joe. Joe, first of all, relinquished the space. He was too high up the pitch when the ball was played in behind, and then he makes a really rash attempt at a tackle that was horrendous, gets easily turned. It's a cross into the box, and then, I mean, dude, with that kind of goal, Bradley's not trying to even deflect it, right? He's just trying to put his foot down and, regain balance. It happens to hit him, and it goes through Kelleher's legs. I don't want to make too much of a big deal about the goal that we conceded because I think that from open play, we only conceded one shot. The first chance at the beginning of the game was off of a throw-in. It was a throw-in to a header to the back post. So that's essentially a set. It's almost like a set piece. And then the second chance was off of a corner. Generally speaking, I'm not one who dives too deep into set pieces. It's like any team can score on a set piece. You could be playing a championship side. It can happen, right? It's open play defending that I care about more. And that was just a mistake from Joe and a good ball in and a really unfortunate deflection. And I don't love Joe inverting so much. I know Klopp's been doing that. And then I know he went into the midfield. I just think that off the ball, he's a little lethargic. And sometimes his passing just doesn't have the zip to it. It's almost lazy. And I think that he gets caught out a lot when he inverts. Just that most of the time he gets bailed out because it's not, a one-on-one down the wing. But I don't think there's a need to look too deep into Sheffield's goal just because of it was a fluky goal. Like these things happen. And other than that, we dominated 98 of the 99 minutes. And I only say 98 because they had those two chances, which probably summed up to a total of a minute. Other than that, I mean, what do we have? 82%?
83, a new Premier League record in terms of possession.
Yeah, which also, I don't know if you're a big stats guy, but historically speaking, when we have that much of the ball, we generally lose 3-0. Just like going off of history. And I think that sometimes, especially today, when you're coming up against a low block and you're getting frustrated, you have to tactically withdraw. You know what I mean? Like you need to concede some of the possession and you almost need to trick them into chances. Like you need to sort of
give them a little bit of confidence so they go out and then you can go into the space behind, which is what I've
always been a believer in that. It's a gamble, but if you're going up against the brick wall for 70 minutes, just give them a reason to open up, right? Because once we scored the goal, all of a sudden they bring on an attacker. They go to a 4-4-2. All it takes is Rob one run. Cody Gakpo's in behind for a free header. You know what I mean? They opened up. So if you give a team some confidence, whether it be a counterattack, it is a gamble, but at the same time, you do it tactically. You need to understand how to give them space, how to give them a little bit of momentum while also being in control of the situation. It's a lot easier to say as some fucking schmuck in California. But at the same time, I feel like teams do that. Like, I feel like I've seen City do that. I feel like I've
Mhm.
seen dominant possession teams do that to low
When
block
you've got
teams.
good players at the back, you can. It's an educated gamble. It's a worthwhile gamble because you can trust your defenders to hold out for a little while. I look, but moving on from that point, because I do agree with you. Obviously, he was a bit of a fluke. I think Van Dijk is our offside line has always been very weird. We hold a high line, but we never really hold a line of sorts. We have
Yeah,
a
he
baseline,
was he was
and
he
it's
was way
always
too deep. It was
if
way
it's
too
not
deep.
him, it's Robertson. If it's not them, it's sometimes Konate. You know, we've never really been great at holding a strict line, which always maintains shape. But straight after the goal, we made two subs. Harvey Elliott came on, and Andy Robertson came on, and off
Yep.
went Gravenberch and Mo
Double.
Salah. What
Oh,
what
my
was
bad,
your,
my bad.
it was Mo Salah, and what was your initial reaction to that? Because you just conceded, and then you see the main guy going off the pitch.
Obviously, I was angry, because I was like, what the fuck are you doing?" But at the same time, Mo didn't have any impact on the game. Like,
Mm,
the 2 shots that he had, they kinda just fell to him, and I wouldn't even call those chances, you know what I mean? Like, that's just Mo trying to score a worldie, which he's perfectly capable of doing,
mm.
but outside of that, he wasn't offering too much, and, um, you know, after the fact, I think it was the right move, and, like, I saw Mo, like, his reaction to McAllister's goal, like, he was freaking out, like, sometimes you just like, you gotta do that. Um, and I think that, in the moment, obviously, I was upset, and I know Hussam was fucking
I,
furious.
I I haven't seen
Um,
it. Do I need to go find it and see his straight
no,
up reaction to it?
he was just so angry with Robbo coming on and with Mo coming off, but at the same time, sometimes that's what you need because, like, I know that when Harvey comes on, it doesn't matter. He's gonna work harder than Mo does. Like, that's just a fact. Harvey has more legs. He runs around the pitch more. He comes back defensively more. He offers something different. And I think he played well. I think that Robbo played excellent. And the only thing that pissed me off was that he kept Joe on the pitch. I was like, why? Why are you keeping Joe Gomez on the pitch? Um, but at the same time, like, personally, I would have it rather have been Gomez and Gravenberch coming off for Robbo and Elliott and stick Elliott in Gravenberch's spot. But it worked. Like, we looked much better after the substitutions, and then after the second round of substitutions, we looked even better. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So Elliot came on. I think Elliot was a much needed sub. I personally would have had him for Gravenberch and probably Robertson for. To be honest, I would have done Robertson for Bradley just to save him for Sunday and move Gomez to right back where you're probably going to get the best out of him on the ball because of just the way he plays as a right back. But Elliot, I thought, done a lot of good things when he comes on. He gives you something different on that right hand side. He gives you someone who wants to protect the ball first. And when he protects the ball and has a little bit of space, his deliveries are normally very good. I feel he's got a lot of disrespect this season and
he had a
especially last
great
season.
delivery to Robertson. I don't know if you remember that shot.
Yeah,
Beautiful
and
shot.
it's flashed just past the post, but it's literally perfectly wasted over the defender's jumping head, smashed just back. But there's a number of them this year. You can whip them, you can place them. He's got a great incisive pass. I've always been big on Harvey Elliott. His numbers have always been there, and once again today he came on and had a real good impact. But Robertson's impact today was exceptional, exceptional.
Yeah.
It showed exactly why you need a left footer on that side because he freed up a bit of Diaz. Diaz was then able to get inside a little bit more, be a bit of a threat in the box, and not necessarily contest all these headers, but effectively be a body in there to deflect the ball. And ultimately, that strategy worked perfectly for the second goal. I thought McAllister had goal the season wrapped up against Fulham.
This is nothing compared to that. Let's not
I
let's not go
don't
crazy.
know.
No.
The technique on this one, the way it kills,
Even
opens
Klopp
that
said he
field.
mishit it. I don't know if you watched the post interview on TNT, but even Klopp, like, Klopp says, and then of course Alexis comes in, mishits the ball, and it skies straight into the top corner. It was a beautiful strike. I'm the fact that we have a midfielder now who will just he'll just take on the shot, because I feel like if
Oh,
that was Hendo,
it's such a
Hendo
it's not even just
Hendo would have
McAllister,
just dinked
all
it
the
back
midfielders.
to Elliott. I know.
Oh,
It's
no,
crazy.
Henderson with the shot, and Henderson would have put it over the bar. and then we'll just sort of jog back with that stupid jog he does and put his hand
Really?
up and say sorry. Oh,
I
Henderson with a
Henderson,
shot.
to me, he would have taken a touch or he would have tried to dink it off to Elliott to his right. But amazing shot. But I don't think it comes anywhere near the Fulham one. Dude, the Fulham was a volley from like 40 yards to the left of the left post, across goal, across his body. Just no. There's just
I'm a sucker for a good storyline, and with 13 minutes ago, Liverpool looking all out of
company-esque.
ideas. He stepped
Company-esque.
up, Gerard via Olympiacos-esque, ball bouncing to him on the edge of the box, first time, strike. I
Almost
don't think
identical.
he's missed it. I think he's caught it in that way. I don't think he expected it to go where it went, but I think he meant to catch it in that way and get it going to that right-hand side.
Yeah.
To
Well,
put
he
it in
sliced it.
that, when we're on about upper echelon, we are on about it literally kissed that top corner. You could not postage stamp, it was there.
Yeah.
And then his free kick a couple minutes later, I thought he'd got another one. And it literally inches away again. I think let's just talk about Mac Allister. Honestly, let's just talk about Mac Allister because start of the season,
Signing
there
of
was
the
a couple
season.
of question marks. Yeah, 100%. I don't think there'll be any arguments about that. Not just for Liverpool, I think in the league
Europe.
now.
Europe. Signing of the
maybe
season
in
in Europe.
Start of the season, there was a couple of question marks about him because in the six, he was, a little bit off the pace. He was getting caught out a couple of times on the ball. And then for me, I said to Hassan the other day, the turning point was the injury against Sheffield United, and the moment he returned there, he looked different. He looked more assured in possession. He was making quicker decisions, smart decisions, and being more of a threat further up. And then obviously that coincided with the sort of, what should we call it, the evolution or the introduction of Wataru Endo into that midfield, which then gave Mac Allister even more of a license to get up forwards and into that sort of attacking midfield spot. And since then, you could argue he's been the best player in the league, certainly the most influential. He has won us so many points, not just directly through goals and assists, but the way he runs them football matches, going from what we had last year with Keita, Ox, Milner, Henderson, Fabinho, to what we've got now in
We traded all
Wataru.
5 of them for one.
I think we traded all 5 of them for 4 very good ones. Even though I didn't think Gravenberch had his greatest game today, he's a better option. Wataru Endo has been fantastic as a DM. Dominic Szoboszlai, I don't get what this new thing is of Szoboszlai slander that people try and run on Twitter and stuff like that.
He's
Understand the job he's doing.
Yeah.
Is it what we expected from him? No. But it's the job he's got to do to help the team tick.
He's going to shine much more with a different manager who's not using him as a blitzing 8. You know what I mean? Because he's not really there to.
If he's picking up the ball inside the opposition half and doing his drives, he's not goosed when he's taking the shot. But at the minute, he's picking them up on the edge of our box, driving 50 yards, getting about 30 yards out and going, I'm goosed now. What do I do? And that's where the miss-hit passes, and that's where the overhit shots, and that's where the poor decisions come from. Ultimately, if he's just starting a little bit further forwards, I think you're going to see a lot more output and a lot more decisive play from him.
Much better.
I still think he's been fantastic this season as a whole. Dominic Szoboszlai, for the work he has to do and for the levels that he gets out with the other players. To trade what we had last year for this, it's light and day, and there was a lot of question marks about some of the players that we bought. To complete a full-blown midfield rebuild like that, I think you'd struggle to see many teams do that.
Well, I think we saw the best of Mac Allister against Brighton, and that's when he was playing further up the pitch. I still don't love him in the DM just because I feel like we're losing a lot of the forward-going Mac Allister, the controlling Mac Allister. I feel like he controls the game better in opposition half rather than our half, which is what I want to see out of him. But I mean, he's the reason why I say that he's player of the season over someone like Declan Rice is Arsenal finished second last year. And Arsenal also had a great defense last year. And Arsenal also were pretty dominant in the midfield last year. Essentially, Declan Rice is, like he's the extra cherry on top of the beautiful sundae that you've made, right? With like the golden, caviar. It's like, okay, now I'm just going to put a cherry. There we go. Finishing touch. Mac Allister is, the expression whipped cream on shit. He's turning the shit part into gold. and now we've got whipped cream on gold for lack of a better analogy. But he's done a lot more to transform a midfield, which I mean, we're now 3 points ahead of where we finished last season, and we have
That is
8
mental.
games, and we have 8 games to go. He's dominated the midfield in multiple games. He's been playing as a 6. He's been playing as an 8. I just think that his impact is much greater considering, where Liverpool were last season and where Arsenal were last season. And that's the difference maker to me because, there's an argument to be made that Declan Rice is the signing of the summer, but at the same time, it's like, how much did he improve Arsenal? Because Arsenal are worse off points-wise now than they were last year at the same point, and Liverpool are top of the league, and we're ahead of where we finished in total with 8 games to go, and no one has any questions about our midfield at all. And last year, no one really had many super questions
If
about.
anything, the midfield's become one of the most stable parts of the team now. There's very few debates about who goes into the midfield now. You've got 4 fantastic options there who can drop in most positions and do a job in Endo, Jones, Mac Allister.
Val, you're so fucking disingenuous. Mac Allister was doing the same shit. He just wasn't scoring goals and getting an assist and getting assists. He was doing the same shit from the 6. Okay, before we all knew that Wataru Endo had the ability to play the 6 in the Premier League, Mac Allister was being forced to do a job that wasn't that doesn't even equate to his best skills, and yet he was doing it amazingly. That's the difference. The only reason why you're saying that now is because he's scoring goals and he's getting assists, and he's well, I mean, to be honest, he's playing the 8 because Endo is now playing the 6 in most games. Back then, Mac Allister is playing the 6 and Jones and Szoboszlai are the 8s. Like, of course he's going to look worse on paper, and of course he's going to look worse in the game, but you're just neglecting what he's doing throughout the game because it's not flashy. He's doing all of the hard work. He's played 3 different positions, and he's done an amazing job in all of them. So I still stand by him being the signing of the season.
Also,
and
Rice is always going to be looked at in a way because he was the only new signing for Arsenal in that midfield. It was what's Declan Rice going to do? He cost 105 million. English, everything was going to be focused on him. Anything good he does is going to be, shone very brightly. Anything bad he does is going to be sort of brushed under the carpet, sort of thing. Don't worry, he's been very good this year. I'm not going to say he hasn't. That'd be
been unbelievable. He's been unbelievable. But Declan Rice has been amazing.
I agree with Mike in the sense that what Mac Allister has done is so Declan Rice is a ceiling raiser potentially. Declan Rice has raised Arsenal's ceiling from there to there. Mac Allister has raised our floor from there to there. And then you add your piece of Wataru, your piece of Dom, your piece of Curtis, you're flying. But Mac Allister is the one that does all that hard work. There's a reason why our probably most inconsistent run of form this season came when he was injured. And the game he came back, Newcastle, he came back off the bench against Newcastle, played that brilliant through ball to Jota. Then he started against Arsenal in the FA Cup, had a fantastic midfield performance there, and has not looked back since. But obviously, he gets the second goal, absolute rocket. He's then running the game at that point. Then the second set of subs come on in Gakpo and Curtis.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just about seeing the game out, sort of thing. Were you at any point worried in that time that we were going to concede another goal?
No. We had conceded. We didn't concede a single opportunity from open play. We conceded 3 opportunities in total, 2 of which being off set pieces, and 1 of which being, a shot from the outside post to the outside post that was easily saved by Kelleher. Outside of that, there was no indications that Sheffield were going to be able to string anything together. So there was nothing to tell me that we weren't going to win. I just wanted the insurance. I just wanted more goals. But at no point, once we scored that goal, I'm like, this game's over. Sheffield's not going to come close to us.
Before we touch on the insurance goal, what I think is a very underrated goal, the Konate moments, I want to touch on this because I was shocked it never went to VAR. I thought that could have been Konate's season done. It looked horrendous at the initial watching of it. And they were showing replays. It looked like, he'd really caught the eye on the knee. could be a potential ACL injury. We'd be down to just Gomez and Quansah as centre backs. He seemed to get up all right and play on for the rest of the game. I do want to hear something from Klopp on that regarding, is he going to go for a scan or what's it look like? 'Cause it didn't look pretty. In that moment, were you just sitting there going, "Oh, it's unfortunate. It's sort of like it's unlucky for the Sheffield United player. He's bounced up off the ball or something."
Yeah.
Or was it a thing where you're looking at going, "Ooh, could
I'm
be"?
you know I'm surprised you're even asking. I never even for a second did I think that anything should be reviewed with that play. I thought that it was just an unfortunate coming together, and that's just the way that I watched it. I mean, I haven't seen it on a replay since watching the game, but no, I never even crossed my mind that the guy would be penalized. I just thought that really, really unfortunate. But then
Yeah,
again, maybe you know what? Hold on. While you go on about it, let me go on Twitter onto the whole Twitter sphere after watching the Arab commentators with Alexis Mac Allister.
they love a good
Um,
sing song, them, don't they? It's a new one
well,
every week.
okay, so to me, it looks like he definitely jumps very weirdly. Like he lands his feet and then he like jumps into his leg. I don't know. That looks maybe he's intentionally doing that. I don't that like I feel like that's a lot. Maybe he's trying to draw a foul and say that, um, like, if you look really closely, Robbo's right behind Konate, so maybe he's trying to draw something and basically say, like, "Hey, Konate's fouling me." He sits up and he puts his hands out, but I don't know if there's anything in there to say that that's a red card or dangerous play.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it in the sense that I'm just happy Konate got a bit of luck with injuries for once, because I was really fearing the worst, especially when he was clearly in pain on the pitch, and the physios ran on straight away, and throughout that 4 minute period, I was just sitting there going, "What are we gonna do? We've lost
Yeah, if we
Ibu
lose him,
now."
we're fucked.
You're asking either an awful lot of Joe Gomez, who Klopp seems to want to play at left back now, or you're asking an awful lot of Gerald Quansah, who cannot do as much as I love Gerald Quansah, and I think he's a fantastic young centre back. He can't do the
Can't do it
covering
week
that
in, week
Konate
out.
does. He can't. He's not quick enough to do the covering that Konate does in the way that we are so gung ho with it. So to see him get up and pick himself up and dust himself off was big there. And then just before the 90th minute, I think it was, you saw what I believe was a beautifully worked goal. Exactly the type of goal I love seeing Liverpool score, because it wasn't flashy, it wasn't, ticky tack away, or it wasn't a skill run. It was ruthless, efficient football. 3 passes, bang, 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 goal. And I was happy that it was Gakpo that got the goal, because I think he's got a lot of unnecessary not unnecessary. He's right to save criticism, but the level of it and the ways in which people have moved to attack him personally and stuff, I feel has been
A little
wrong
unfair.
completely. Has he performed at the same level that you'd want? Probably not, but he's always done a job for you and stuff like that. So I look at this, the cross as well by Robertson, absolutely beautiful. He had a fantastic game today. I'll touch on him later, but that goal, I don't know about you. Maybe you. I think I know that you like these type of goals as well. But they're the type of goals I want to see Liverpool score more often, because I think they are what football at Liverpool should be about: quick paced, ruthless, efficient. And in my eyes, that's beautiful football. On that third goal, what did you think?
Um, I mean, I think that's what Robbo's there for. He's better at driving up the pitch than Joe. He's better at overlapping. He's more creative, and it was just world class service. And obviously, like I said before, Sheffield decided to switch to a 4-4-2. They took off a defender. They tried to play more attacking. They opened up, which then opens the space on the counter, which leaves Gakpo wide open. And
I
it was
thought that
a
I thought we
it
actually
was
had a
a
decent dynamic out of Diaz and Robertson for once as well. That's always been a thing with them. I've never thought they've had the greatest of chemistry. Probably when you're going from Mane and Robertson, who done that thing for 5-6 years, you get something there. The I never thought Diaz and Robertson had that connection, but today they were really in sync. It was Robertson knew when to overlap, Diaz knew when to overlap, knew when to cut inside. All this sort of stuff was big, and ultimately, I'm going to touch on Robertson now because I've been doing a lot on Amorim recently, and the one name that's always come up in these discussions is what happens with Robertson now that Edwards is back in. Because Robertson's numbers have declined this season compared to what they have been in previous years. I've had in my mind that I love Robertson, but he's the type of player that Edwards and co would move on now, whilst the value's still there.
Mhm.
Do you
And I
agree
don't
with them in that sense?
I don't have a major issue with it. I think that the best football clubs in the world, in fact, just the best sporting organizations, no matter what sport, no matter what region, no matter whether it's baseball, basketball, football overseas, you have to know when to get rid of a player, and more often than not, you wanna do it just before the decline, right? Like, you
Mhm.
know where a player's peak was. Robbo has already had his peak. He's not going to be vintage 18, 19 Andrew Robertson flying down the wings and doing that every single game. Um, and if there were a time to move him on, I think that this would be a good time. I mean, just look at Cancelo, right? Like, you would assume last season that after the season that he had the prior to it, why would Pep Guardiola ever get rid of Joao Cancelo, considering the type of player he is? He might have had, off-field issues, whatever, but it still doesn't change the fact that Pep's always been a guy who will move players on before you agree to move them on.
Mhm.
How many City fans last year said, "You know, I'm perfectly content with getting rid of Gundogan." You know what I mean? And, I think that I have no major issue with it, and I think that that's an issue that we had in the past, and that's what led us to having Fabinho, Oxlade, James Milner, Jordan Henderson as our fucking core midfield, all, like, 33 years old and no legs. Like, you have to know when to move players on, um and if not now, then when? And if you can supply a better replacement, or if we switch systems and all of a sudden we need, a wing back, I still think Robbo could do good in a Amarim system, but, like I said at the beginning, in Michael Edwards, I trust, and I know that we would have shuffled players more, if Edwards had stayed with us, and maybe we wouldn't have had those 2 dipping seasons because we would have properly reinvested and gotten fresh blood into the system, so
Yeah, I can't not agree with that. I look at it, and Robertson today put in what I believe is his best performance of the season in
yeah.
terms of there wasn't anything he done wrong. Even defensively, I thought he was very solid. But this is the type of situation that Jordan Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum were in all them years ago, and Edwards wanted to let go of both of them because he has all the data. Him and his team have all the data, and they could tell us that the decline was coming, and ultimately they were right. But we were stuck with one of them. We let go of one, and we were stuck with the other one, and I think that did sort of hinder us and impact us. And Amorim or whoever it is coming in are going to be sort of they're not going to have the same power as Edwards. Edwards is king of all kings now in this FSG setup. I expect to see us be very ruthless when needs be. That's going to be the difference. Simicast is another one who needs to be discussed as well in regards to the same thing, because I don't think Edwards likes backups who are 28 and are slowly but surely starting to lose resale value, especially if they're not playing very often. But job done then, all over the line. And just before we touch on the games coming up and that, goals 26 and 27 after the 75th minute, and contributions 37 and 38 for players off the bench today. How good has Klopp's in-game management been this season?
I think it's the polar opposite of last season. I think last season his in-game management was horrendous, and his pre-game setup was also horrendous.
It was just
Oh,
horrendous, wasn't it?
yeah, a bug just flew in I got my door open. I'll have to close that in a minute. But no, he's been great, and even the substitutions that I've questioned at times ended up being right. So he's on it this season, and the goal contributions off the bench I think are like 2 times as many as the second team to us in the Premier League this season. Um, I would prefer not to be, driven to a heart attack every fucking game and biting my nails and praying that we can just hold out a victory when we've bundled chance after chance after chance. But ultimately, there's no pictures on the scorecard, and we're at the point in the season where performances are beginning to not matter so much. And in 5 games, I'm not going to care if we stink up the pitch. And like I don't care if we smash and grab the next 8 games. Just give me 24 points. Don't care how you do it. Don't care how it gets done. Don't care the means. Don't care what kind of tactics you got to do. If you need to go play dirty, go play dirty. You know what I mean? Like if you want to turn this into a hockey game, turn it into a hockey game. Like start fighting on the pitch, do whatever you got to do. I don't care. Just get the job done. And he's getting the job done. So unbelievable.
I think his in-game management has always been his biggest flaw as a manager. I've always held it against him. I never thought he made the right tactical decisions, and I thought his substitutions were always they barely ever improved us. You had Origi who come on and get you a goal every now and then, but his substitutions very rarely gave us such control over games. I think this season, every single game, bar probably 1 or 2, the substitutions have been spot on and won us the game. And that is the biggest praise I can give him. And maybe it is down to the fact that he's had in his mind this is last season, so he's willing to take more risks and go, well, in the past I wouldn't do this, but why not? It's my farewell tour. Let's go for it. And it's ultimately paid dividends with the quality you've got off the bench. And I hope that the next manager coming in also has that same strategy in a sense, because Klopp was a big advocate for the 5 subs, and no one has used 5 substitutions better than Jurgen Klopp. So there was clearly a method to the madness sort of thing, but you touched on it then. 8 games to go in the Premier League and potentially 5 in the Europa League. Well, at least 2, but potentially another 3 after that in the Europa League. How far do we get this season? Do we go all the way in 1, both, or none?
I don't see a reason why we can't. I think we should breeze through Atlanta, which would then put us into the semifinals. And then once you get there, we have Anfield. Who are we going to play? Like, is it even possible for us? Is it even possible for us to play
one of Benfica or Marseille?
Exactly. So you're going to tell me that you don't bet with us against Benfica and Marseille, and if it ends up being Leverkusen versus Liverpool in the final, whatever. Like if I lose to a team that hasn't lost all season, am I going to be angry? Like what are they 10 points clear in the Bundesliga? So to me, my minimum would be get to the Europa League final, and then finals are finals. But I don't see a reason why we can't win this Premier League title. We have a 2-point advantage. We have probably the easiest of the 3 remaining games.
Do you think we have the easiest of the 3?
I think that the only argument is that we have to play more derbies than they do. But I think that in terms of competition, City are playing more relegation teams than we are. There's something to actually fight for. You're gonna see a different game there. I mean, we've got Everton away, we've got United away, we've got Tottenham at home, and we've got Villa away. Does Villa away scare me? No. Does Everton away scare me? Maybe. Does United away scare me? Fuck yeah. Does Tottenham at home scare me? Absolutely not. So those are our 4 most difficult matches. And I think that the theme this whole season has always just been the front line not being clinical enough. And the amount of games that we've dropped points in because of that reason. Not because we were letting tons of opportunities come our way. I mean, yeah, maybe you could talk about the Crystal Palace game, but we were a dwindled team coming right off of AFCON, I believe. And, we were dealing with injuries, But for the most part, our biggest issue has been us not scoring or us not converting a million chances when we get a million chances. It's not us conceding a million chances. But I could see a future in which we win all 8 games. And if we do that, we win. And that's just kind of the mentality that I'm in right now.
Yeah, it's in our hands. It's very much in our hands, which I don't think we've ever been in this position before. Certainly not with 8 games to go. I'm a little bit more sort of wary than you. I think I have Fulham away as another tough game because I think they're the type of team that can just nick, annoy a point out of us
We
for
did draw
whatever
there.
reason.
We did
We
draw
drew
there,
there in the
and
cup. They've beaten Tottenham 3-0 the other week. They beat Arsenal earlier on this season. They're set up to be a real problem. I think Jimenez is the only striker this season who I've seen cause Van Dijk
I still think
real
that
big problems.
we could. There's 8 games to go. What's the likelihood that all 3 of us win all 8 of our games?
Oh, that's
Pretty
not
fucking
happening.
slim. Pretty slim. Okay, so if you look at it like that, the maximum that we can get is 94 points. I think that the maximum that Arsenal can get is 92 points, and I think that the maximum City can get is 91 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
It's just
91.
add 24 to whatever they have, right? Is there? I mean, I think that no matter what. I mean, I said this on Grizz's call-in show, a couple of weeks ago, and I could tell that he was getting very angry with me, because I'm like, the winner of this league is going to be at 91 to 92 points. Like it's just that simple. And with that sentiment, if we drop, we can really only afford to draw 1 game. We can't lose any. And even if that happens, Arsenal win the league if Arsenal win out, because we're not catching up on goal difference. We're not. Like,
No, I look at it, and in my mind, there's 8 games left. I think, obviously, you definitely can drop points in 1 game because there's no. I don't believe Arsenal are going to win every game. I just don't think with all the pressure that's going to be on this season, especially if they progress in the Champions League and have to play City or Real Madrid in the semi-finals, either side of a Tottenham game, and there's a Chelsea game beforehand as well, and stuff like that. I can definitely see them dropping points. So you can guarantee drop 1 and win the title, or 2 points and win the title. I think there's room as well, potentially, if we're a little bit lucky, to afford drop points in a second game. But I think 4 points is the maximum you can drop. I certainly don't think you can afford to lose a game because that destroys momentum.
it goes
But in
down to
terms of
91.
if we draw, I don't want us to draw against United. That's the thing. If we draw
I don't think we're
Aston
going
Villa
to.
away, if we draw Villa away and we draw Everton away, for argument's sake, because we always love a draw at Everton away, but it doesn't really damage it.
That's 90 points. Like, because then you're forgetting about City. City can win all 8 of these games. Like,
again, though, I'm throwing. I believe that City end up playing Arsenal in the semi-finals, and I don't think we can really comment on it with this team because it's never happened to us. Playing your title rivals in a tight title race in the Champions League mid-season with about 5 games to go left in the Premier League,
it's going to be tough.
That I think is going to cause issues for both of them, especially if you factor in. I do think City have some tough games in there. I think they have the easiest running, all things considered, but they do still have some tough games in there. I think you can potentially afford to drop points in 2 games. That's it. Any more than that, you're waving away the title. But
that would be the maximum. Like, the absolute max that you can drop is 4 points. But even then, I still think you're leaving it completely out of your hands. I think that right now, the maximum that we can drop is 2 points, because then that means that Arsenal have to be perfect just to tie us. So, with that being said, that's 7 wins and 1 draw.
Ideally, we just win. Ideally, we just win every game.
Which is again, like, I can see it happening. Like, I know that people, like, the one thing that I don't like is when people go, "Oh, you expect us to go on like a 14-game run?" And I'm like, that's the wrong way to view it. Like, from right now, in my mind, if I were Jurgen Klopp or if I were on Liverpool, the record is 0. You know what I mean? Like, every game, the record is 0. It's just win this game, win this game, win this game, and you just keep going forward, right? We just have 8 individual games. I don't care about streaks. I don't care about runs. It's just 8 finals. Win the 8 finals. It's like hockey. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the playoffs in that sense, or like March Madness. You know what I mean? Like, you got to win 6 straight games to win the national title. And so it's the same view. Like, we're just in a tournament, and it's a knockout round, and we got to win every round in order to stay in the tournament. And I think that we can do it. Like Villa away with the way that Villa are playing, like they're so open defensively, and Villa Park is not what it was in October. It's just a fact.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Um, Everton are always tough, but
I feel I've always got more of a worry for Everton because I'm in the city and I know I'm going to get it for the next week if we fuck up against them and they have the potential to ruin our farewell title for Klopp.
well, that
I'd
is the
rather
thing.
not deal with that.
That is the thing. You have everyone trying to ruin, but also you have everyone trying to knock City off.
Hmm.
And then Arsenal got to play Chelsea. You never know if Chelsea like it's such a weird scenario because it's like right now we're in the stance of we must win every game, but then all of a sudden, if Arsenal lose against Chelsea somehow, it's like, well, then it's like, okay, now I've bought myself some space. Maybe now I can drop points in 2 different games. But ultimately, I think that we have the
I
ability to
think
win
that
8 straight.
the must-win game now in this run is United away. I can't go through
Yes.
an entire season not beating them,
If we
especially with
can
how bad they are.
if we win on Sunday, my confidence will go through the roof. Because
Mm.
I'll say we've gone through our hardest, especially if we do it convincingly. Like if we go to United and we win 3-0, right? And like we just, United are done. Like we spank them.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, it's like, you know what? Every game from here on out, it's downhill. Because ultimately, that's kind of like the reality of the situation that we're in. That's probably our hardest game left. And everything from then on is downhill. If you smack United, your momentum going downhill is just going to be too great. And we don't have to worry about the FA Cup. I mean, we don't really have to worry about Europa League, especially considering
Yeah,
that we have
you can
we
afford a
have
little bit
legs.
of rotation, especially if because obviously first leg of the quarters is at Anfield. If you get the job done there 4-1, 5-1, as we have done in a couple of European ties this season, you can go play, even though you might lose the second leg by
Who
1 or
cares?
2
Fuck
nil.
it.
You
Fuck
can
it.
go play Bobby Clark. You can go play.
They could still
Who
win
else?
too. They're unbelievable. They're all studs.
Yeah,
Jaden Dans could still score a
Jaden
hat trick.
Dans, James McConnell, Kwanzaa, all these kids, all these rotation pieces like Simicast, in the attack, Gakpo can get a 490, Gavin Birch can play, Harvey can get a game. All them rotation pieces can go and play. And that, because of all 3 teams being in the situation they're in, having the opportunity to rest your key players for 1 game, just 1 game, having the opportunity to rest them all for 1 game,
Pivotal.
it could be the big swing, especially depending on the games we've got straight afterwards. So I want to win the Europa League. I've said that. I've maintained that from the start of the season. The Europa
So do
League has
I.
always been something that I want to win.
Klopp also
But
lost it too. I want him to rectify that. We
mhm.
lost against
I wanted to win every
Sevilla.
trophy he could have done. I wanted to win every trophy he could have done whilst at Liverpool, bar the Conference League, but that didn't even exist when he came in,
Who
so
gives a
I
shit
don't
about the
count that.
Conference League? Who cares?
So I look at that then and I go, you can win this Europa League and manage it the correct way, and afford to play some kids and make sure that it doesn't impact. Because the one thing Arsenal can't do is go to the Allianz and go play a bunch of kids like
I also
Ethan
think
Waneri.
Arsenal have to beat Bayern. I think that there's an argument to say that, well, if they get knocked out of the Champions League, now they can turn all their hopes to the Premier League. If I
The
were an Arsenal
momentum
fan,
damage that does them. That
exactly.
I've always maintained with Arsenal. Arsenal play football like City, but need need what we do in momentum. City don't need momentum. City can just turn it on. That's the
Yep.
annoying thing about them. Arsenal, I don't think have the same capacity yet to just go, here we go, it's a performance. I think they need, especially in this running with their lack of experience, a momentum to carry them through in certain moments. And if they were to go out the Champions League, especially to Bayern Munich, who are having one of their worst seasons in recent memory, and it was to be in a bit of a poor manner, either they should have went through and then lose, or they just get outclassed by a poor Bayern side, the knock-on effect that could be detrimental to a side that is, as they like to keep reiterating, having its first run out in the Champions League in 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the confidence knock that might give them it's hard to say. It really is. I feel that could be big. City, I think, should they drop points within the next 2 games, back in the league. in the sense that Sergio Gomez starting league games and
Oh yeah,
Rico
if they
Lewis, and
if they're
everything just goes UCL. Let's go back to back UCL
what are
rather
they?
than we can manage it both.
What's their point total right now? So they're sitting 3 points behind us. If that falls to 2 games, right? Because if we win and they
Mm-hmm.
draw, that would be 5 points, which would then
We'll probably have the better goal difference as well, so that you can that. I think that like +5 goal difference, +6 goal difference is an extra point.
yeah. I mean, we have +4. But no matter what, if you turn anything into 2 games with 8 games left, that's a quarter of the games remaining that you need
Mm-hmm.
to use to catch back up. So if City drop at any points at all, I think that that's the one team that absolutely has to be perfect, considering that the maximum that they can get
Yes.
is 91. If they drop any points, I think that they're out of this race, and I think that Liverpool can do a maximum of 1 game because I feel like Arsenal will drop points in one of the 8.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully we just win out and we end on 94
Yeah.
points. And
Hopefully we just win another 8 games in a row. It doesn't matter how we do. We just get over the line in them 8 games and
we
then
could
be done with
easily
it.
do it. We could easily let's not kid ourselves. That's very much a reality. We could do it.
I feel like ultimately with us, it's the pressure around what it could mean. Obviously, it would be Jurgen Klopp's last league title in his last season, but it'd be the first one that fans are actually allowed to celebrate with him. I think that's a big thing, not just for the players, but for the fans and everything. All them storylines just make everything more nervous and more cagey, but
Here.
it also gives you something to properly strive for in that sense, because these players know they're not going to get. But when we say they're not going to get another chance, they'll have other chances at winning the league. But this is last chance saloon for them with this manager, for them with the guy
Okay.
who brought them here.
If we let's just look about it this way, right? We got 8 games left. Our next games in succession in the Premier League only. United,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Palace,
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Palace at home, United away, Fulham away, Everton away.
Mm-hmm.
You win all 4 of those games, you now have a 4-game season, right? Like let's just break it up in half, which is honestly probably the way that Jurgen would do it. You break it in half. You win those 4 games. Now all of a sudden, let's just say for all intents purposes, Arsenal have, also won the next 4 games. So you have a 2-point lead with 4 games remaining. If you can get to that point, what are you looking at? West Ham away, Tottenham at home, Villa away, Wolves at home. Again, West Ham suck absolute ass. Tottenham suck away from home. Villa are not the same team that they were at the beginning of the season. Wolves maybe could be tricky, but to be honest, if we have a 3-point lead,
I think they'll be on the beach. I think Wolves is the one which out of that running I'm probably least worried about, in the sense it's at home. I don't see us dropping any points at home, by the way. I'd be very disappointed if we drop points at home. I think the Anfield should be a fortress for these last however many games. So Wolves is the one that I'm probably least worried about, because they will ultimately have nothing to play for at that point. The reason why I think we've drawn the short straw in a sense is half the teams we play are in a fucking European battle. So we play West Ham, who are in a European battle. The only argument to that could be they're in the Europa League. If they can get past Bayer Leverkusen, which would be a big ask, but if they can get past Leverkusen, they've got Europa League semi-finals. They might just decide, what's the point in going for the Europa League spot in league? Let's go all out in the Europa League to get a Champions League spot. That might be where the door opens there. Tottenham and Villa are both battling out for Champions League, though. So unless United fall off a cliff, so an ideal situation is we beat United on Sunday, and United just sort of crumble at that point, and then Tottenham and Villa just sort of go,
point.
well, what's the point then? We've both got Champions League. 4th and 5th is irrelevant. Who comes where? I'll pack it in there. Villa can then concentrate on Conference League, which then might mean that they rotate. And then Tottenham is just the one where you're going, oh, fucking, they've always done something for us in these title races, Tottenham. But then,
Tottenham can still beat Arsenal and City.
Yes.
Just don't forget that.
I think there's 2 teams that are going to have a real big say on this title race: Brighton and Tottenham. They're the 2 that I've had my eye on. Brighton, because their home record is surprisingly good.
Very good.
Even though I don't think they've been good this season, their home record is surprisingly good. They could get a draw. And Tottenham, because the way they set up, especially with 2 games at home, we're the only team that plays them at home. The other 2 have to go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Please
We
get
have
6 points.
a little bit of a chance there.
Please get 6 points. Well, I
This
mean,
is gonna
listen,
be a
everything,
horrendous title race. I hate title
everything.
races.
So do I. Everything changes if other teams drop points. Like that. That's just the
Oh,
fact.
yeah.
But to me, I'm just viewing it as 2 4-game seasons, with the second half being harder than the first half. And I think that. I mean, listen, Villa are 2 points ahead of Tottenham, but Tottenham have a game in hand. United are 6 points. I'm sorry, are 9 points behind Tottenham. So United are
Yeah,
9
I
points off
think that
of
might be done, you know. I think that might be
so,
done then, actually.
so do I. So do I. I think that United are not picking up 9 points.
Especially if we beat them on Sunday. Because I don't know who Tottenham and Villa play. I'll have a look now, but I don't think it's necessarily the greatest teams of all time. Tottenham play Forest. So Tottenham have relegation threat in Forest, and Villa have Brentford
Does
at
the
home.
5th place team go to the Champions League this season?
Yes, basically because everyone else is doing very good. So United and Newcastle going out in the group stages put it into a little bit of jeopardy. But Arsenal, City, Liverpool, West Ham, and Villa all making quarters, and at least 2 of them making semis will guarantee that 5th spot for the Premier League.
And which if that happens, then all of the sudden that argument would be, even less of a basis, because then that turns Tottenham's position into a Champions League spot, and they have a 9-point lead. And then
Plus,
if we beat
Ryan does make a good point as well. It is revenge season for that robbery that occurred at White Hart Lane earlier this season.
Of course, Tottenham is Tottenham is not what scares me. Neither is Villa. It's United. That's really like the only game. I really do think that if we beat United away and we do it convincingly, I'm fully confident that we're winning the next 7 games in this bang. Like
it's always United. It's always United. And you know what? The annoying thing is, Mike, everyone looks back at that FA Cup game. And rightly so, we went out the FA Cup to United, which is really disappointing. But we should have won that game. And I think on another day, we do win that game because Anthony
should have won it 4-1. We should have been 4-1 up with 10 to go. We just fucked around.
I think ultimately we're a little bit unlucky that it looks like Trent and Jota aren't going to be available for that game, because I think Trent would have had a field day. And I think Jota's going to be massive in this running, because it's Diogo Jota, the man who knows how to score goals in a front line and doesn't like scoring goals. He's a real... If only he could stay fit, we'd be loving life. There wouldn't be title races. But before we go, because it's 1 a.m. here, I want to go to bed, because I've now got a midday stream with Hassam breaking down this game and talking title races. And this chat here has now given me a new insight on it, where I might just change some of my thoughts on this running. Before I go, last 8 games of the season, who do you think are going to be the decisive players for us? Who do you think are going to be the people that get us over the line with big moments?
Mac Allister. I think Mo is going to have to turn up, and he's going to have to start to score some of these chances that he's getting, or he's going to have to start laying them on a plate for other players. I think that it's looking like Allison might not come back, so Kelleher is going to have to be huge.
I actually think Allison will be back a lot sooner than people think. I think Allison will probably be back based on what I've been told and what Klopp has said and stuff on little snippets. I reckon Allison will be back, if not Crystal Palace, Fulham.
Well, regardless, the man that I need to show up to shut everyone up and to kick everyone in the teeth and to put the double middle fingers up to the whole world is Darwin Núñez. I need Darwin to come out of his fucking shell. I need you to spread your wings. I need you to fly. I need to see doubles. I need to see you finishing your chances. I don't want to. I've never heard of a crossbar or a post. They don't exist.
What would you give? What would you give for a Darwin Núñez hat trick at Old Trafford?
I would literally run around my city block butt naked. I would hold my balls and I would run butt naked around my city block if Darwin Núñez scores a hat trick against Old Trafford. Dude, the thing is that he gets so many chances that like it's if he just finishes, he could score 10 goals from now until then. Like he's gonna
It
get like
sounds
20
so simple, doesn't it? It
he's
sounds
gonna
so
get like
simple
20
with him.
opportunities. He's gonna have so many chances from now until the end of the season. Just score. Just score. Just score. Just relieve the pressure. That's all you got to do. If you finish your chances, it doesn't matter. If we score 3 goals a game, we're winning every game. And I want him to do it. I want him to be the guy to show up at the end of the season. So that it's just a big middle finger to everyone who's doubted, because he does so much for the team. Maybe he doesn't score a goal, maybe he doesn't get an assist every game, but he's doing so much.
We look a lot worse when he doesn't play. We look very blunt. We look very predictable. I think people are now starting to understand really what Darwin Núñez does. Is he the one thing I will say about Núñez? He's not what any of us expected he was going to be, or at least certainly what I wasn't expecting. I was expecting someone who get 30 to 35 goals, wouldn't really link up play, but will be a constant running behind threat. What I've got is one of the most complete strikers in the league, who can link up, who can hold up play, who can beat a man, who can be an all-round threat, whether he's in the middle or on the wing. I didn't expect that.
I just need him to pop off.
I've had to curtail my expectations, and he's matched them. For me, I look at it, I think, to be honest, Mac Allister's always going to be there. I think Wataru is going to be massive in this running, because when you go away to an Everton or to a United, you need someone who wants the battle. You need someone who wants to get stuck in there. And that's what I'd say Mac Allister and Szoboszlai and Jones don't want to. But my little mouthguard wearing Japanese man loves that. He loves to get right in there, right in the thick of things.
I want to see blood. I want to see him producing blood out of players. I want to see him with a katana just slicing through the other team, absolutely dominating. I want people to fear him. But yeah, no, Endo's got to be huge. Everyone's got to be huge. But Darwin,
Van Dijk as well, 100%
and Salah. Salah needs to show up. He's been listen. I know he had a goal against Brighton, but he has been so fucking wasteful in this year.
One goal out of 11 doesn't make up for it. I'll be honest. One goal out of 11 doesn't make up for it. So, I agree in that. I think Jota as well, just because he is the guy I trust in front of goal. I've maintained that from the moment he joined us. You can tell when a guy can finish, and Mo Salah knows how to finish, but Jota is a cold-blooded finisher. Left foot, right foot, header.
Jota is the X factor. If he can come back healthy and stay healthy the rest of the season, he is an X factor. 100%. Not even a debate. Other teams, Arsenal fans are scared of him. Arsenal fans are scared of Jota coming back. City fans are scared of Jota coming back. And
because he's Mr. Inevitable. People know what Núñez does, but Núñez can be his own worst enemy. People know what Salah does, but Salah can have games where he's off it, or if you just chuck 2 or 3 men on him, you can sort of mark him out the game. You can't stop Diogo Jota, because ultimately he doesn't need the ball. Yeah. All he needs is a mistake, an opportunity, a moment, and it's done. And that is what I think is so big in these moments. I don't expect us in this title race to win games 4-0, 5-0. These dead comfortable scorelines where from minute 1 to minute 90 you're dominating. Based on how we've played this season, I don't see that happening unless all of a sudden all the forwards were to turn a corner and go.
You
give me 8 chances, I score 6 goals.
Statistically speaking, it easily could be that way. If somehow form just kicks up, what do we have? Like 20 shots in the first 60 minutes of this game? Like it could happen. Where we just start blowing teams away. But no, you are right. It's more than likely going to be
20 shots a game.
It's more than likely going to turn into like 2-1 FC like we were in 1920. Like we're just going to need to get results. But if Darwin can just give me a hat trick on Sunday, I don't even care if we win the league. I don't even care.
That's all you need. Just a Darwin Núñez hat trick at Old Trafford.
Yep. That's it. I just want to shut everyone up. And I don't know. I want to win this league so much. And I think that we can, and it's in our hands, and we can win all 8 of these games. It's just the front 5 need to show up. That's it. In my mind, that's all I'm seeing. They just need to be more clinical.
It's just there's faith in the defense because Virgil van Dijk's there, and even though I think he played a part in their goal today in terms of once again not knowing how to hold an offside line, that man's been a difference maker this season in terms of the level not only he's reached but everyone else around him has reached. The midfield, I think, has been one of the best in the Premier League in terms of how it fits and the options you've got all around it. Goalkeeper, I didn't expect Kelleher to step up in the way he has. He's been fantastic. It is literally just the attack where you don't know what you're going to get. If Diaz is on it and you start seeing Diaz find the back of the net, because I think what you're seeing at the minute with Diaz is someone who's got all the confidence in the world and beating his man. He's back to the Diaz that we bought in terms of beating a man and taking on a man and playing that style of football. But now we're back at the square root of the problem that we had when we first bought him, where it is, where's the end product going to come from? We're back at the problem that originally started with Diaz that we were about to solve, and then he got injured, and we had to go back 2 steps. We're now back at the place that we bought him, and we now need to figure out where this end product's going to come from. If it comes through quickly, perfect. You couldn't time it much better. But I agree. We just need to find that whoever it is in that front five, even if it's Gakpo, even if it's Elias, anyone who wants to step up in this time and win football matches for us, this is your chance to put your name in history, because this title will mean so much to everyone for the storylines and for the way we've done it. Whoever wants to be that hero, I don't care. If it wants to be Joe Gomez getting his first ever Premier League goal, let it be Joe Gomez getting his first ever Premier League goal. I don't really mind, but we just need to get over the line.
That's
but
it.
People, but I'm going to call it there because I need to go to bed because I'm not got a midday show with Sam. Before we go, though, massive thank you to Mr. Mike Das. Do you want to shout anything now? Where can people find you? Are you any closer to setting up your own channel so we can get more?
Can't find me anywhere. You can't find me anywhere. I'm a ghost. I only show up sometimes here and there. But yeah, big up to Tom. Hit that like button. Subscribe to him. Hopefully he starts streaming a little bit more consistently. Up the Reds. And let's win these next 8 games. Win the league. Give Klopp a proper send-off. And tell everyone to hold that.
Couldn't have put it better myself. So, thank you people very much for watching. I'm going to love yous. I'm going to leave yous. Make sure, if you're watching this back on the replay, if you're watching the end and you've not done it yet, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. We've gained like 400 or 500 subs in the past week because of Ruben Amorim content and the love that people are giving me. I can't thank people enough for that. I'm going to call it there. I might be back tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Saturday for the preview for the United game. I'm going to try and get a United fan on for that, whether it's Flawless or Staffy. I don't know yet. I'll put the feelers out tomorrow. But people, I'm going to love yous. I'm going to leave yous in a bit. Ta-ra. Up the fucking Reds.